Welcome to Mind Files Minutes. In this episode, we're going inside the book to the introduction. Here's what I wrote back in 2018. You are the author of your life. I'm sure you've heard that before, but do you have a solid understanding of what it means? You have been creating your own life from the moment that you took your first breath. If you're living the life that you thought you would be, the one you dreamed about, fantastic. However, if you aren't living a life that is 100% fulfilling and you're ready to learn what you can do to change that, read on. To change your life, you need to understand why it is that you're not completely satisfied in the first place. Now, this next sentence is really important, and here's what it says. Your life is a reflection of what you believe about yourself, others, and the world around you. What do you believe about yourself? Have you asked the question? I mean, really asked it. Who do you think you are? And why do you think that? What have you done in your adult life that backs up that belief? If you had to, could you make a list of all the mind files stored in your love cabinet that validate that belief? If you're unhappy with your life, if you can't find contentment or joy, if you feel alone and sad more often than not, then the mind files your mind's process references in relation to who you think you are, they're not stored in your love cabinet. Those files are stored in your fear cabinet. Okay, let's go back to the introduction now. In the second paragraph, it says, if you believe that you can accomplish great things, you will. If you believe that you can't do anything right, then you're not going to accomplish very much. If you believe that you're worthy of all that life has to offer, then your life will be abundant, fulfilling, and full of joy. If you believe that people are untrustworthy, cruel, and controlling, then you will attract people who display those properties in your life. If you believe that organizations and governments have power over your life, then you will continue to feel powerless for your whole life. If your thoughts and your true beliefs aren't in perfect alignment, then you are probably unhappy and frustrated more often than not, and you're probably not enjoying life the way that you were intended to. So how does that all work? So the first sentence says, if you believe you can accomplish great things, you will. When you were little, like say 3, things like being able to tie your own shoes was a big deal. This accomplishment was definitely filed in your love cabinet. Then, when you finally learned how to read a chapter book, look, I work with kids and I can tell you how excited they are when they start reading chapter books. This accomplishment was definitely filed in your love cabinet. When you completed a science project at school, odds are that regardless of whether you entered it in a science fair or won an award with it, just completing the task would have been celebrated. Meaning the narrative went into your My Accomplishments file and was stored in your love cabinet. Everybody celebrates when they get their driver's license. It's a huge step because being able to drive yourself, that's a big part of becoming independent. Now, here's where things might have gotten a little complicated in your life. If you grew up in a dysfunctional home where emotional and maybe even physical abuse was a daily occurrence, or if something traumatic, life-threatening happened to you in your early or teenage years, odds are you didn't go to college. You probably started working sometime during high school because you thought that earning money was going to help you escape from whatever was going on in your life. Or maybe you thought you weren't smart enough to get into college, so you took a job in the trades. Maybe you chose to be a caregiver. People who have a strong desire to help others are operating from an intense mind file that says something along the lines of, nobody helped me, so I'm going to be that person for somebody else. And that mind file is definitely housed in your fear cabinet. And there are probably tons of narratives that describe a time when you felt lost, or left out, or sad, or disappointed, afraid. And here's a big one, guilty. It's completely reasonable to feel angry about a childhood where you faced constant criticism. And were told that you would never live up to whatever ridiculous standards someone set for you. And if that's the case, then your accomplishment file probably didn't continue to grow. It could have even been struggling to gain positive narratives from an early age. It all comes down to the number of times that you were encouraged or celebrated versus the number of times that you were criticized or humiliated or thought that you had failed somehow. If you believed that you could accomplish great things, then the odds are you went into your adult life referencing mind files stored in your love cabinet, which means you were successful in whatever it was that you set out to do. But if you suffered abuse or trauma, then you probably married someone who was abusive. And you probably work for somebody who takes advantage of you. Because the mind file that deals with your worth, which is the sentence in the introduction that read, if you believe that you are worthy of all that life has to offer, then you are living a life that's abundant, fulfilling, and you have genuine joy. Or your I'm worthy mind file narratives don't say anything like that. Your narratives focus on your failures and all the mistakes that you made and how you couldn't live up to whatever it was you were supposed to live up to. Your narratives talk about all the things that you did wrong. I know, because that's what mine were. In ACEs High, my autobiography of how I scored an A score, which is A stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, my score was 6. Now, it's important to understand that these experiences had to occur prior to your 18th birthday. So the mind, body, and spiritual consequences I suffered as a result of that high score. I mean, look at this list. That's what my narratives and my mind files were all talking about. Guess which mind file my mind's process referenced more often? The I am worthy of in the pink, positively emotionally charged file, or the I am worthy of blue colored, sad, emotionally charged mind file. For the first 40 years of my life, I can definitely tell you I was not enjoying life. Take the time to think about everything that we've talked about so far in this video. Dig into the files in your own filing cabinets and make some lists. In chapters 9, 10, and 11 in the Mind Files book, there's exercises that guide you through the process of identifying reviewing, reassessing, and resolving the files that are holding you back from genuinely enjoying life. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you learned something here today that can help you help yourself. Don't forget to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss any Mind Files episodes. Finally, if you're willing, let us know what you think. Talk about the mind files you discovered in the filing cabinets of your mind below. See you next time.